All right, so I've been asked to go into more detail about Donald Trump and why we cannot allow him to return to the White House. In my previous interview, or should I say my previous segment, I talked about I was only going to limit it to January 6th, right, 2021, because I felt as though what was the point in going any deeper or more in depth about him as a person, right? So I'm from Brooklyn, New York, by the way. Grew up in New Bed-Stuy, and one of the things that, to me, when it comes to Donald Trump, is I remember the exonerated five, right? The five young men who went to jail for a crime they did not commit, and how Donald Trump took out a full-page ad in the newspaper. I think it was the New York Times, asking for their execution, right? And he never apologized to them. He never, even to this day, even at the debate with him and Vice President Kamala Harris, he still sort of refused to acknowledge the fact that what he did was wrong. He refused to, he and his dad were sued successfully because they refused to rent out apartment spaces to black people in New York. So, the list goes on and on and on. But even today, even on today, while people are trying to recover from Hurricane Milton in Florida, you've got the former president who jumps out there and tells people that, they should not contact the federal government because the federal government is going to try and keep your house. I mean, that kind of lie and those kinds of lies and disinformation right there, that costs people their lives. That costs people their livelihood. Just imagine, you just got hit back to back with major hurricanes. Your community is decimated. Your house needs repairs. You might have been flooded. And then this guy comes along and tells you don't ask for help because the federal government may steal your property. Y'all want to put that back in the White House? Y'all want to put the dude who stood there and pushed Dr. Fauci to the side during a pandemic simply because he wanted to be in front of the cameras to get the credit? And he stood there and ignored doctors' orders and doctors' advice that they wanted to give to the general public, and he came up with something like inject yourself with bleach? Or take a bright light and shine it down on the inside of somebody's body to kill germs? That's what y'all want to put back in the White House, right? Okay, right. What's that saying that people say now? Make it make sense. Somebody help me. Make it make sense to me. You got to help me out with that. That's what you want. So don't come tell me, well, I like his policies. I had a lady come to my house one time, and she says, maybe she was feeling guilty. I voted for him because I like this one. What policies? Unless you was filthy rich, and she wasn't, right? No, not. But unless she was filthy rich, like the owner of Walmart rich or owner of some multi-million-dollar company rich, then his policies did not help you, because those are the people that he cut taxes for. I mean, how did he help y'all? I'm still looking, right? Think about all the people who are dead now. I've got friends who are dead now. I have family members who are dead now because Donald J. Trump refused to tell people to get vaccinated, and he refused to tell people to wear a mask so they would not spread germs. Right? So we went from January 6, 2021 to the national pandemic. Do I need to keep going? Do I really? And in the last segment, I talked about Charlottesville. Straight up racism in our face, right? So the racism in our face, the national disaster, or should I say the world pandemic in our face, and January 6th, all in our face. I have a bad habit of looking around. I should be looking at y'all. But all happened in our face, right? We all watched it unfold live. And then we turn around and listen to Donald Trump tell us that we shouldn't believe what we just saw. My goodness. This coffee sure is good. So, where my black men at? He didn't like us. He tried to throw 5 of them in jail for a crime they didn't commit, took out a full-page blown ad in the newspaper asking for their execution, never apologized, refused to rent to black people any of his apartments or real estate. What else? In in a world pandemic, he stood in front of the country and told the people that he's supposed to be caring for and leading that they should inject themselves with bleach, and refused to listen to the medical experts, refused to tell people to put a mask on so they would not spread germs. This is the person you all want to put back in the White House. And so there is absolutely nothing. We're not even going to get into foreign policy and what he did with Ukraine and trying to extort another country. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Let's talk about the Supreme Court. Let's talk about the 3 justices that he appointed and put on the bench, who led to the overturning of Roe versus Wade, whom each and every one of those Supreme Court justices in their hearings before the Senate all said that Roe v. Wade was settled law. Said it was settled law and they would not go back and revisit it. Right? Do y'all hear those dog whistles out there yet? And then they turned around and found, and for those of us who did not go to law school, we got a lesson in law real quick, didn't we? When the Supreme Court went from left to right, and then those same justices turned around and said, well, based upon this word and this definition, I think that we can, and they tweaked it and overturned it. So here we are. Now, in this upcoming election, women's rights are on the ballot. I have daughters. I have sons. This affects both of them. Even if you're married with no kids, this affects you if you ever plan on having a family one day, because coming after birth control is next. So this is serious business. Serious business. So, what else can I say? What else do I have to? My goodness. Y'all want that dude back in power? Why? Well, for some of you all, we understand why. Because you are chasing power. And if you are part of the religious right, oh my goodness. See, I don't even want to go there to bring religion into it. Because the Bible says, you shall have no other God before me, but you made this man your God. It doesn't matter what he does, you will follow him. It doesn't matter what he says to display his character before all people, before all the earth. You all don't care. You vote for him anyway. What's up with that? I'm just saying. Immigration. The list goes on and on and on. Did Mexico ever pay for that wall? Matter of fact, did he ever build that wall? You know what? I think this is it. Yo, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the love. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you. Hey, listen, remember, I want you to follow me on all my social media platforms. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to this platform that you're watching right now. Subscribe, like, follow, share. I really appreciate it. Again, I just want to take this opportunity to encourage you all to go out and vote. I am Team Harris. I don't care what y'all do. I don't care what you all say. I just felt like it was important enough because I've come across enough people and I've had conversation with quite a few young black men, and it's not about the fact that they think that Donald Trump is the better person. A lot of people are not following news and politics the way I do because I do it for a living and I sort of grew up in it. So this is just my way, as late as it may be. Maybe it's right on time, but this is just my opportunity to try and encourage our young black men. I have a forum coming up with the Divine Nine here on the campus of Fisk University, led by the members of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And we're going to talk to young black men. We're going to talk to black men. We're going to talk to black females and females in general and find out their thoughts about this misinformation, this disinformation. And we're going to speak truth to power, because one of the things and one of the reasons why I'm doing this is I am sick and tired of people putting us as black men in categories and speaking for us. No, there is no drove of black men heading toward Trump. That's a lie and a myth that he started. Are there some black men that are going to vote for him? Yes, no doubt. There's some black men. Look at the guy from North Carolina, the governor, the lieutenant governor. I can't think of his name. The black guy who's running for governor. By the way, he's going to lose. Timestamp, he's going to lose, and North Carolina is going to flip blue. By the way, if you live in a red state, whether it be Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, some of those, Louisiana, Your red states are some of the poorest states in the nation. They pay very little towards the federal deficit, and when it comes to needing resources, those states, because they're so poorly run, they're number one when it comes to receiving resources. Florida, things of that nature. So think about that. Tennessee is crawling out, so to speak. Georgia is doing a little better because they have 2 blue senators, but Georgia could do a lot better if they had a Democratic governor at the helm, because what I've discovered in most cases, most people don't really know how bad it is until you show them, right? Or until they experience something they've never had before. So if you live in one of those red states and all of a sudden you get the Affordable Care Act and you discover that you're not held, here's an example. If you work a job and it's a job that you hate, but you stay in that job because you need the health insurance, the Affordable Care Act gives you the dignity of being able to take your health insurance with you no matter where you go. So you don't have to stay in a job that you hate. But Republicans, because it was Barack Obama's health care, refused to have it in your state. So if you live in Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, you are paying into the Affordable Care Act, but your states are not allowing you to receive the benefits of it. Now, how is that conservatism? Come on, somebody. And you don't know it because you're not receiving the extra Medicare and the benefits that come along with the Affordable Care Act, so they block it at every time and every turn that it comes up. Because if you ever get it, you'll understand that the government does work for you. And it can help you, right? So, yeah. What was that? You live in Mississippi? You live in Alabama? You live in Louisiana? You know I'm telling the truth. So anyway, I'm done with that. So there's a lot at stake in this upcoming election, all right? I am team, once again, Harris Walz all day, every day, voting early, baby. You better believe it. And so for those of you who are on the fence, those of you who did not, please like and share this. Please, especially if you know a young black man and some black women who just don't understand, or they're undecided at this point. But some people need that extra, right? So I think I've covered a couple of things, right, as to why Kamala Harris. Now, there are a lot of things I could say why I'm voting for Kamala Harris for. I didn't get there, but I wanted to make sure that there was a stark difference between her and Donald Trump, to the degree where, you know what, I don't care what you don't know about Kamala Harris, she has never tried to overthrow her country, and she will restore Roe v. Wade.